Go for it.
Hey folks, welcome to the show. I am Scott. This is IT Rockstars. On today's show, we have got Lucas Meadowcroft from Tribu.ai. He's all about artificial intelligence in your help desk and teams. I don't actually know the full details of his product. I've basically come in completely fresh to this product so that I can ask really dumb questions so that you don't have to. So Lucas, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
Yeah, thanks very much for having me, Scott, and I appreciate that. That's an interesting. I love the intro because that's an interesting topic to go down the route of, because you're like coming in completely blind, which is good for conversation, right? So I appreciate it and hope your audience enjoys this conversation we're about to have.
Yeah, it's cool. I'm not trying to be ignorant or anything like that. It's really just to get a complete understanding of what it is that you do, what the main sort of pain points you solve, and how you help MSPs be more profitable and more efficient. So that's why I come in blind and just kind of ask the questions before I get lost in the product demos and things like that. So I think the first question is maybe a little bit background to what the product is or the service is, and what the pain points are that you solve. That would be really good to understand what that is, so we can kind of let the audience know right away what we're all about here.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we can dive into whatever direction you want to go. So I guess to give you a bit of an understanding. So Lucas Meadowcroft here, CEO and co-founder of Tribu, 3 co-founders in our business, all from the IT tech MSP space for the last 20 years. As you could imagine, every other vendor that you ever talk to, everyone, is bred out of the MSP world, same as us. So we just had essentially a problem in our MSP that we wanted to solve. And so if we rewind 5 years or more, we were knocking our heads on the door every single week, month, quarter, reviewing how we could keep improving things in our MSP. And that was techs retention. So keeping techs retained within our business. And you'll relate to this because obviously these days with the climate market, it's pretty intense. So how do we retain techs, short term and long term? And obviously that then retains to profitability and recruiting services and all the rest of it in your business as an MSP owner or a business to run. And then the second thing was providing amazing customer service. And so one thing that we would always find in our MSP was going and doing a sale and winning a customer. That was the easy part. Delivering a service and meeting the expectation of what you're delivering was the hard part for us. And that's because customers want great customer service. Techs don't want to talk to customers. So how do you bridge that gap? And essentially, that's when we start diving into all things machine learning, artificial intelligence, deep technology. If I rewind, I know this is a long intro, but if I rewind 2 seconds, we tried to solve it with people. We doubled our staff capacity and it still didn't solve the problem.
No, that's what I was going to ask him. Like, I'm trying to think of why would you immediately jump to software technology to solve like a people issue that you had?
We didn't. We jumped to people. So we went, okay, let's not make any profitability for 12 to 18 months. We reinvested every bit of our capital, time, effort, energy, expense, everything into hiring bodies, resources, techs. It didn't make a difference. It gave us more capacity to bring on more customers, but it still didn't solve our problem from a tech engagement with a customer and providing that end case, which is a great customer service journey. Were our customers happy? Of course. Our culture was amazing. Our customers were happy. I should actually, disclaimer, we had one of the most amazing cultures in our MSP. Everyone used to rave about us because our techs were with us for a very long time, as most of you guys listening would adhere to. Amazing culture. Customers love working with the techs, but we always had to have an intermediate person, i.e. myself, account managers, salespeople.
Can you hark back to a particular example of this happening?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I can give you 20 million examples. We'll keep it short.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go and make I guess expectation, right? So we set ourselves an expectation. I'll be realistic to the community. A 1 hour resolution and a 4 hour, like a 1 hour, I'll start again. 1 hour response time to the customer and a 4 hour fix to the customer. So if you look at your SLAs, and most SLAs, 4 hours, 8 hours, 16 hours, 1 week, whatever it might be, 1 hour response to every single customer inquiry and a 4 hour fix to every single customer inquiry on the IT support front. Innovation consulting and consulting service, obviously completely different.
Yeah.
Those SLAs were always met because we had the systems, processes, and people in place to make that happen. People was the biggest thing. We had to have a second layer and a third layer of management to ensure that the techs were physically being whipped every single day. Not physically, but you know what I mean. That would be that's against many laws in many countries. Just to make sure that they're doing their time entries, they're replying to customers, they're staying top of every ticket. If they weren't staying on top of every ticket, or their team leaders or management wasn't helping them stay on top of every ticket, then you're not meeting your 1 hour response and your 4 hour fix. As soon as you would disappear from the business for a week or 2 weeks, or some of your team leaders or your C-level ops would disappear because people need holidays or they get sick, your SLA start getting missed. And so we essentially could see a need from not just people just didn't solve it. We couldn't scale in our minds. We couldn't scale from a 5-person to a 20-person to a 50-person to a 100-person firm quickly, without throwing quadruple the amount of people at a problem, and it just wasn't a thing. So that's when we started going into this world of AI, because okay, we need technology to solve this. People can't solve it.
So do you still have the MSP, or is that?
No, we sold the MSP.
You sold it. Okay.
Yeah. So we could go all into Tribu.
I see. Okay. All right. So. How does it solve this issue then, Tribu? I mean, I really do see this as a people. To me, it almost sounds as though if you've got techs that are needing whipped every day, it's like there's something like failing in the recruitment process, but that's the onboarding or something like that. So I'm really interested to know how this problem's solved.
To answer your first part of your question was it's hard to imagine this is even a problem, right? And essentially this is not I'm probably blowing it out. It's not actually a problem. It's how the MSP world works. It's how techs like to be techs. It's actually not a problem from a MSP and a tech point of view. The problem is what the customer expectation. Okay. We as a community as a whole are not meeting the demand of what customers want these days. I'm rewinding 5 years ago. 5 years now, think of all the apps that exist on the market that companies are getting, they're implementing, and then they're expecting their technology provider to then support them. MSPs have not come along with the journey. It just hasn't happened. And so I was already seeing this 5 or even longer, nearly 10 years ago when we started Unlimited IT, to be in the forefront. And so the MSP and the techs and the way they're solving problems and the way they're doing things, that's not the issue. The issue is that there's this big gap between what an MSP is providing versus the customer expectation now. And that's the divide that we're seeing. Does that kind of make sense?
No, that definitely makes sense. It's almost like old dogs, new tricks. I am one of these sort of old dogs in that mindset of managed services. It's the future. We're going to be proactive with with your support requests so that you don't get hacked, ransomware, and all that stuff. But then you've got this element of it's almost like this modern day, and all of the apps, the SaaS that comes with it, and it's just like you get lost in that, and it's like, oh my gosh, got all this other stuff to do. That's secondary. But from the client's experience, no, it's not. They want to be on that stuff. Yeah, that makes sense.
Exactly.
Okay.
And so the first things we identified that we could solve in our MSP was around that constant communication with techs and customers. And at that point in time, Microsoft Teams is just really coming to light. Obviously Google had taken off and absolutely killed the market, and then Microsoft was like, oh, we better do something about this.
So we started using thing. Let's copy Slack. That's kind of what.
Thank God they didn't. They put an offer of like $40 billion to buy Slack, and they turned them down. Something ridiculous, and they sold for like 12 billion or whatever it was. So one thing we needed to understand before we could even start building anything was our data, and we didn't have enough information in our data to really dive into this aspect. And so we needed to dive into the issues, the sub issues, the urgency, the priority of tickets, and all that good stuff that we have today within a PSA, because techs don't techs don't like filling in data. They just don't. Getting them to do timesheets is like, unless you're from the MSP industry, you just don't do it. You can't go and hire a corporate or a tech from an enterprise and get them into an MSP and go, day one, you're good to go. It just doesn't happen. Okay. You need to teach them to do time entries, teach them to do notes, teach them to reply to customers.
Yeah,
they hate doing it. I'm being generalist here, right? There are heaps of amazing techs out there that just love customers and love doing process and love doing time entries. Majority don't. And so you have to, how do you solve that majority? And so our first problem was classification. We had to really dive deep and understand what the classification was of a ticket and of the entire data set. So then we can go, cool, what are the next steps and how can we solve those next steps? And so the first tech that we built was a classification technology. Mm-hmm. So instead of a human being, whether it's a office manager or a technician or whoever's running that business unit, manually filling in information in a ticket every single day, unless you do that, you can't do the reporting you need to then make decisions in your business.
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, we don't want a human being doing it. Let's build an AI to do it. And so that's essentially what we did. So you can plug our AI directly into your ticketing system. You don't have a human intervention. Every ticket that comes into the system automatically classifies. You've got the reporting good to go.
Okay. What do you mean by I mean, I'm thinking that you're missing like fields when you're entering in the ticket information, but you're saying something different in regards to classification of the type of ticket it is. Is that right?
Fields is a great example. So typically you get all these mandated fields by default that you should enable and fill it in. MSPs don't do it. Techs don't do it. They'd rather go and turn off all those mandatory fields and avoid all that stuff.
And so if you do enable them, then they just put junk in there so they can just get on with clicking the save button. Yeah, okay.
Whatever when you click on the drop down, whatever the top or whatever you decide to click on, you just click on the top one every single time.
Okay.
So our machine learning technology and NLP technology, so if you're sending an email from an end user, the end user email comes into passes through our system before it goes to your PSA. We've understood the context of that email. Is it a computer running slow? Is it a password reset? Is a printer not working? Setting up a new user on Monday 9 a.m. and it's Friday at 4 p.m. type of scenario. We understand all that immediately, like instantly, and then process the data into the PSA with zero intervention.
Oh wow, okay. And then that sets up all your SLA. And does it go to the extent of the system, the AI knows that certain level 1 techs are good with certain things like password resets, or they know what they're doing and can troubleshoot? Can the AI put the tickets, assign it to the techs with the best types of experience based on the resource utilization, that type of stuff?
Yes and no.
Is that taking that a step too far at this point?
Definitely not a step too far. It's what we are building. Do we have it live? No. We're in discussion with a few beta partners on that conversation. So not in our live product, but in the background, because every MSP does things differently, and every MSP treats a VIP customer differently and treats a technician differently. But essentially, in the profile section of any of your PSAs, like Office 365 profile, you can put all that information in, what they're good at, what they're not good at. That was our first go-to-market strategy to try and solve it. Just manually input all your data, and we'll just pull the data from that. It's not really AI, right?
Yeah.
We're now exploring the opportunity of going, let's look at your previous history in your system and understanding the sentiment, the conversations, the closing of ticket rates, what an engineer kind of likes doing, doesn't like doing, what they're good at, what they're not good at. Using AI to actually go back on your data set to bring that to the forefront to make those decisions for you in your business. We're not there yet, but that's where we're going with it.
Okay, I can see how this would be really useful. And you mentioned to run these reports, so you're getting the AI to fill in all the required data against the tickets and sentiment analysis, all that type of stuff. So, is it giving you more a fuller report that you can then go to with your team? Is that the whole point of it?
Essentially, if you look at your leadership team and you dive into your reporting on a monthly basis or quarterly basis, you need to go, well, what decisions do we need to make 1%, 2%, 3% changes to get that extra profitability at the end of the quarter, end of the year? And so making those slight changes, the data is absolutely crucial, and that's what we've seen from data in us and our MSP, previous MSP, and also in our partners. That data is absolutely crucial.
Okay. All right. And I mean, going back to this, like for a minute, you have this problem with, recruitment and
whipping techs,
whipping the techs,
you can say it,
or trying to fill that gap between what the customer expects and what's being delivered. That's where we're getting to the point of. And you're an MSP, and then you start looking at things like machine learning, and I'm assuming you mentioned that you had to go and catalog the data that was coming into the system. That's almost like data scientist work. It's like, how did you, how did you get
we hired data scientists? Simple as that.
Okay, because I'm just thinking to myself, I'd mentioned to you before the record, I have this idea. It's not an idea. It's actually just copied from someone else's model. And I'm like, I looked at it previously. I'm like, where did I go for data scientists and all that type of stuff? I just find it really interesting that you would. It's not a pivot as such, but it's very progressive in the way that I've seen MSPs work up into this point. They're not going hiring data scientists to do stuff.
I might rewind, right? So as an MSP only, and for nearly 20 years, I got to the point that I could not hit the targets and goals I wanted to achieve as an entrepreneur without pivoting. And so this is more off the back of my boredom than off the back of, hey, we need to look at data scientists to make our MSP amazing. It was more, unless we're going to want to really scale and become a 100, 200, 500 staff MSP, like I think large, I don't think small, then I don't want to do it. Simple as that.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And it just happened to be that throughout our journey, the last, 3.5, 4 years journey, we pivoted from building it for ourselves to then building it into a side hustle, to then building it into a product, to then raising capital and investors, to then selling our MSP and focusing on this full time. So it's been like, it hasn't happened overnight. It's been a gradual journey,
progression
over the last 4 years. Yeah.
So what gives you the drive, Lucas? You mentioned there going for the moon. You're not even, you want to land the stars. You want the whole moon there. And that 500 team. It's just what gives you that drive?
I just love solving problems. I think if your audience listening to this, they would also contest. We just love solving problems. As technician myself, field technician back in the day when we didn't really have remote services. To where we are now. I just love seeing a problem and going, how do I solve that problem? Research, reading books, listening to podcasts, opening your mind to what's out there, and not being afraid to dive into it.
Okay, it almost sounds like it's something in your nature, though. It's like it's beyond the problem solving. If you're looking to go so big, it's like I'm just thinking, were you like the kid in school selling candy sweets to all the other kids?
No. My entrepreneurial spirit only really came out, maybe 15 years ago. I guess I was always lost. I failed school. I didn't really do good at school. I was, dyslexic, not really knowing where I want to go in life. Got a traineeship at a computer shop because that's what someone said I should do. Because I love tinkering with computers back in the day. But from an entrepreneurial standpoint, when someone introduced me to an entrepreneurial business school that I joined, 15-ish years ago, I just started to thrive and just went, okay, this has got a bit. And so we've built, run, sold 4 businesses now. So I think I've just lost you as well. Yeah,
my videos went off. I'm not sure why that is. I'm still here.
That's okay. I can look at your pretty photo. And this one, and I think I'm at that point in my journey now, and we're probably digressing. Your audience probably doesn't want to hear this, but digressing to the point of, yes, Tribu is our passion. We're going to solve IT support using our software and product, and really, not just IT support, help desk in general. But opportunities are coming up. So we're already investing into other tech startups. We're working with other tech startups. We're helping them achieve the goals, working with MSPs, doing consulting, I just love being involved in the ecosystem and helping to solve massive problems that exist. And if we can align all the vendors, bring all the vendors together, build an awesome marketplace, do it differently. It's always been done the same way. You have to be a part of the ConnectWise ecosystem or the Datto ecosystem or now the Datto Kaseya ecosystem. And we're all trying to achieve the same thing. Why don't we work together as a team? And so that's my passion project on the side right now, is building a vendor marketplace where we're all the same. We're all trying to hit the same goals. Let's stop harassing MSPs every day. You probably want to hear this part. I was caught up with a mate of mine this morning who runs a really successful MSP in Australia, 50 plus staff. He said, I get 5 vendors reaching out to me a week, 5 a week. He's like, well, I can't keep up with that many vendors. And they're always saying they got the newest and greatest, best thing on the planet that's got to solve all your problems in your MSP. It's like, you need to mute that shit.
There is so much to choose from, isn't there?
Yep. So we want to turn that on its head. I want to be a part of a marketplace with other vendors that we completely turn that on its head and just do something amazing. Anyway, completely side note. Sorry.
No, it's cool. We're going back to the subject of the ecosystem there for a minute, and I think it's something that you kind of explained to me, or we kind of agreed on prior to pressing the record button, that there's a certain sector of MSPs that they're happy in what they're doing, but there's so many possibilities there for them now. There's so many big opportunities, and but they're just so stuck in their roots and what they're doing. Trying to teach an old dog new tricks. I'm one of those old dogs, as I mentioned, Lucas, and you see that as a real. You mentioned you see it as a bit of a blocker in the industry at the moment. What do you think what it's gonna take to get out of this?
Naturally, it's going to happen. Honestly, is over the next 3 to 5 years, they will either not have a business anymore, or they'll sell their business to a larger MSP. Yeah, story. And for these you talk about older generational people who don't really want to change, don't want to move with the time, still want to sell boxes, don't want to do MS365 apps, Power Apps, whatever it might be.
So much that they're maybe doing MS365 or whatever, but they're just not on the app for it,
There's still got to be a place at some point in time. Like, our businesses, i.e. customers, all wanting the progressive MSP? Probably not. So there's still got to be a percentage of old, let's call it the old boys supporting old boys, older MSPs supporting older style traditional businesses. That will probably be a need. But the newer generation of people starting up shop, starting up a tech startup, or starting up an e-commerce business, or starting up a manufacturing plant, or whatever it might be, they're a younger generation. They grew up in technology. They don't want someone coming in and telling them they need a new computer. They want someone coming in and saying, you need to do this in your business to achieve this. It's all about process improvement and outcomes. And MSPs are not built for that. They're built for supporting traditional technology.
Yeah.
Newer businesses don't want that or don't need that.
So it's the technology supporting the business goals more than anything else. Yeah. That's what we're looking at here. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. And we
see it all the time. MSPs going in and selling services to win customers, and they're essentially selling an MSA or selling, I don't know, a new fleet of hardware, and you're like, what does that achieve for business? Yeah, that's a given. You have to have that. It's a given. But what does the business want? It's like that extra. Whoever goes the extra mile in this industry will win every single day of the week.
Yeah, what do they really want? But that's the other thing with this. It's like, what do they want and what do they need? So the older MSPs think they need this, but they actually want something different.
Yeah.
Filling that gap.
And it's not for everyone. Like the consulting mindset is definitely not for everyone. But partner with someone that does it. If you're a traditional MSP owner, you want to keep doing the way that you've done it for the last 20 years, totally fine, do it. Keep doing that. But partner with someone who is progressive. Get them to be your, your co-pilot in this, and hand it over to them and say, now you go in as a consultant, you go in as a strategic advisor, a VIO, whatever, VCIO, and you take that strategic leadership and you go do that, and we'll keep doing this. There are ways around it.
Yeah.
But as an MSP company itself, though, you got to keep evolving.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I think going back to this 5 vendors a day phone call, Lucas, or a week. This is all about Tribu, by the way. It's like, okay, so I guess how do you get around that mentality? You're trying to obviously sell a product into the marketplace for MSPs here. But if MSPs are getting bombarded with 5 calls from vendors a week, is your product, is it like one of these generalists that all works for everyone at MSP, or is it specific to a certain type of MSP, of a particular size, particular maturity? I mean, who's it good for?
It's a tough question.
How do you get around
there's
this
two
problem?
sides of it, right?
Yeah.
I haven't got the answer, to be honest. I don't want to piss people off, and I know I have already. And you might be listening and go, "Yeah, that Lucas guy, he's emailed me 3,000 times." We don't want to do that. We want to not have to do it. The only honest answer I've got, and I'm only 2 years into this vendor journey, right? So I'm pretty new.
Yeah.
Is face-to-face conferences. The face-to-face conferences that we've had so far, and we've got a few more lined up this year, DataCon and IT Nation. You're away from your office. You don't have screaming customers at you. You want to have a conversation. You want to have a beer. You want to have a general face-to-face conversation. That's when your guard is down. That's when you're happy to just let loose a little bit. But when you're in your busy day, I ran an MSP. I had customers screaming at me. I know what it's like. I don't want to be harassed by vendors as well.
Yeah.
So I don't. Yeah. Apart from face-to-face conferences, I haven't come up with a solution. I'm all open. If anyone wants to come in on this idea with me to try and solve it, I'm more than happy to have that side hustle conversation.
I'm not so much asking that. I'm asking, does Tribu, is it for all MSPs, or is it, who does it suit?
Yeah, sorry, I answered the first question. Okay. So the second question is yes and no. So yes, we have every size MSP you can think of, from 1-man band, 2-man band, all the way through to we're just onboarding a larger enterprise MSP that has 3,000 techs. So that's very broad, right? But what we're finding, the biggest traction we're getting is that 30, 35, 40 staff MSP up. With a leadership team in place, so similar to what we had in our previous MSP. So when you've got a leadership team in place, they're working on the business. Yeah. And when they're working on the business, they want to implement and see improvement at all stages, from sales through to invoicing. And our product, and we've only talked about one option of our product, so I don't want to digress, and I'm more than happy, we'll do a demo some other time. But our product actually helps the entire breadth of the company. Literally, we can help a sales team, and we can help the accounts billing process, because it's machine learning. It's information. It's just about data. If you've got data there, we process the data. We can trigger workflows and automation to reduce your workload. Literally, we've helped partners reduce workload by 50%. 50% is a huge number in an MSP. But you can't do that. And we've tried doing this with a team of 10 and a team of 15. If you don't have the resources internally to implement the requirements to put automation in place, it just doesn't happen. So a larger MSP has that leadership team and has the spare resource and capability to do so. This is why we are doing some consulting gigs on the side. People are employing us to go, well, we don't have an internal resource. Can you just come and do it for us? Spend a couple of weeks just making it happen, and then they can have their 50% workload reduced. Do we want to do that full time? No. So we're very selective with who we work with, because we want to get to the point that our software can be a one-stop shop, implemented and help all the way down to a 1-man band. But AI and data, it's just, you need data scientists. It just doesn't work like that. Sorry.
Okay, well, here's the one, Lucas. This is my final question for you today. And I mentioned already, I had this idea brewing in my head for the last 3 years, and it's all to do with data. And I'm like, I had no idea where to start from it. So the idea, it's not my idea. I actually heard it was a conference. There was a guy doing machine learning for banks. And he was able to look at bank accounts of customers and put it through some sort of machine learning algorithm. And the output of putting 10,000 bank accounts, the transactions through this algorithm, the algorithm was able to spit back to him, these customers are going to be leaving you within the next 3 months. It was like a 95% chance that these customers are going to be leaving you. And I thought, could we do the same thing for a help desk? So you have all of those transactional things in there to do with tickets. Even the text as well. So, I know personally that there's some clients that like a particular engineer, and maybe they move to another job. I think, well, this is like, these are the perfect data points. Mm-hmm. Are you building something like that into Tribu? Or can I give you that idea? Is that like one that's worth knowing about?
You're just talking about reporting on data.
Yeah. But being able to know if a potential, especially now in the current economic climate, being able, like, telling your account managers, these are your priority clients you have to work on, because based on the data that we've got.
Yeah, and so two sides of the topic. So the VIP customers, this is a hot topic literally right now. We're having this conversation with many of our partners where they want so one of our essentially our products is What's Next, where the technician will it just tells them the 2 tickets to work on, removes their entire clutter from their entire list. It just says, work on these 2 tickets. Once you finish these 2 tickets, we'll serve you 2 new tickets. Essentially, we're getting a request from our partners. Can you just display the VIP customers, remove everyone else, and just display the VIP customers? And we're like, it kind of goes against the grain of what we're trying to implement from an AI perspective. It's like, it's AI, but you're being subjective to only display that information and not this information, and not true flow through. So, well, this relates to your point, right? So. Where are we making our most money, and can we report all that data? And essentially the answer is yes. We're not a data reporting company. We don't want to be. We want to be a data AI company. Cognition 360 is a company we're working with closely. They are a data reporting company. They could essentially give you that information literally immediately. Obviously not with AI, but just with pure data warehousing and data reporting. But I know who you're talking about. I know the founder of the company you're talking about, and the technology they built using AI to understand the weakness in the process.
I think it's a company called Squiz or something. I can't remember.
Okay, maybe there's another one. There's one in Iran that I know really well. But essentially, it looks at your data points and goes, well, if you're looking at, say, Xero, and you look at your bank transactions that reconcile, and we know, okay, we haven't paid those ones, 3 months ago, we still haven't paid those bills, we haven't paid those bills, and like it builds a bit of a model on what you're processing through your company and what you're paying, and then you might say, okay, the payroll hasn't been done, and this has like all these little triggers that happen in your business. Of course, you can do that in your MSP. What triggers do you want to display? That's the $1 million question. So I put this to you, Scott. Keep your idea. If you can come up with the triggers and the IP around what tells an MSP if it's the customer's not succeeding or not, then you partner with someone. Partner with us, partner with Cognition 360, partner with someone who's got the technology to give you the data. But you keep the IP around your concept, your idea around those trigger points to tell you when a customer is not going to be a good customer to keep, or I don't know, do you want to see a full data set of when an MSP's not doing well as well? You can do both.
Okay. So it's about you mean the triggers, like the data points, like if that engineer that the client really likes, and then that engineer moves on, and then the client kind of falls on and starts looking for a new service. That's the type of trigger points that I need to understand. Okay.
Yeah. Because we can understand that, right? So as long as it's either in voice, so physical conversation over the phone, or in text, so as long as there is a communication of some sort, we as an AI provider, we receive that data and we can translate that data.
Okay, that's really
so you would know immediately, hey, that staff member left that company. This customer's really unhappy because that staff member left.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
I've seen that in the past where it's a new engineer and it takes them a month just to get up to speed with how the client works, and there's personalities involved with it as well. But that's only one data point. There's other ones too. So it's like if the tickets are going unresolved or taking too long. So there's all these different data points that are in that help desk. I'm just like, how could you relate it back to your existing long-term client that's going to leave you, and being able to know that before they tell you, and being able to do something about it.
Yeah, okay. You can report as long as you got the data. You can report on all of it. That's the great thing about it. And I know you probably want to wrap up, but I'll leave you with this in the audience to think about is data is absolutely crucial. There are not many MSPs that I've worked with, and I've met with nearly 4,500, 5,000 now, that have seen data as being a crucial part of their business. They know they should be doing something about it. They know they should be putting some time and effort into it. But honestly, if you want to scale your MSP or you want to get it really efficient and make shitload of profit, then focus on your data.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I mean, I went through this experience myself. I run a marketing company for IT companies, and we were not taking in the information. We were not recording the data, how we were getting new customers. Like, we had all these marketing channels, but we didn't know how we were getting all the customers and the leads. And it was like, when it came to, okay, we want to put more money into this avenue, well, we didn't know which avenue to put it down. And so it was like, that was an experience that was 3 years worth of leads coming into us, and we realized we should be recording this. So yeah, totally understand that, Lucas.
Great problem to have.
It's not, a lot of
MSPs would say that it would be a great problem to have. Too many leads, can't keep up.
Yeah, the problem is, it's like, well, where are they coming from? You've got 3 years worth. So
because you can't replicate it, right? If you don't have the information, you don't know what to do again that worked. Yeah, agree.
It's totally blind. So that's what we're overcoming now. Been really good to speak to you, Lucas. We did have that other point on if an MSP was wanting to sell AI services to their existing clients, where they could go. So we can maybe leave that for next time, Lucas.
Oh, I can quickly give you insight to it. Yeah. Microsoft 365. It has AI tools that you can sell to your customer. No one uses it. There are 43 applications now that exist within Office 365. Most MSPs install and support 3 to 4 applications.
Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint. Maybe OneNote.
And I shouldn't laugh, but customers want more. Okay. There are people out there, there are consultants out there that just, you partner with them, let them go figure it out. It's not easy. It's complicated. Yes, you can make shitloads of money on it, but it's not an easy thing to do. But there are AI tool sets. I was looking
for a particular example though, Lucas, like, some sort of AI thing that's easy to sell to customers.
It's not selling to your customer. It's all about consulting services, right? So how do you improve a process in their business? So for example, voice recognition, text to speech, these all exist immediately. So if you were to build a power app for your customer, put a form in place, remove paperwork, remove Excel spreadsheets, whatever it might be, just improve a process in their business. Implement a couple of the new AI tool sets that already come within 365. Put them into the process. Show the customer how AI can now be implemented into your business. And you can build an entire business. You could literally build an entire business around this, or a business unit in your MSP. But it is consulting, and so there's a big differentiation between business as usual MSP or MSAs versus consulting. If you're looking for a tool set, as in, can I sell this tool to a company and it works from day one? In the AI space, I can't know off the top of my head. It's AI, even though it's been around for 35 years, it's too new to go, yep, off the shelf, here you go. It works from day one. That solves this particular problem in your business.
I almost see it as there's a particular problem in a particular type of business that can be solved with this setup that other people just aren't doing yet. So, like, you've got accountants that need to do some sort of AI task, very sort of niche, but it can be replicated all the way around every one of them, and they all love it. But it sounds as though it's that consulting piece. Once you've got it, then you can go into other businesses no,
you are right though. Every AI technology that's being produced, built, launched, and actively working in the ecosystem is very niche. So accounting, legal, manufacturing, could be retail, hospitality. There are services and products that are being built, especially in the US tech startup ecosystem, to solve a really, really niche problem in that market.
Yeah, and that's the way you can scale it.
Yeah. Well, one recently I had a conversation with construction company. They want to know where they build their new shopping center. IoT exists. There's data points everywhere. We know when a person hops off a plane, where, using certain technology that exists already, when they hop off a plane, where they go to, what sales office they go to, what shopping center they go to, what's there. Literally, you can follow them, and this is, privacy, but you can literally follow them using technology on their entire process, on where people travel, etc., to know what footprint should I use, where should I build my new housing estate, where should I build this, where should I do that. It's all there. Technology exists. The red tape is privacy. What are we allowed to use and what we're not allowed to use? That's the only sticking point right now.
Yeah, like that iOS update really hampered my marketing. Last year, I used to love retargeting, because when someone landed on my website, I had their details, and that was it. Just through a cookie, and that's all changed now. So yeah, the privacy is a big thing.
Yeah. Did you see? You'll love this, and I'll let you finish. But there's a tech startup in the UK actually was selling subscription services for marketing purposes to repurpose cookies in a way that then the end user gets paid for submitting their data.
Oh, cool. Love it.
So rather than people saying, no, don't ever look at me ever again. Hey, I want to be paid. I'm happy to give you my data. Pay me for giving you my data.
No, that's a really good idea. I like it.
Gets around the problem, right?
Yeah. Okay, Lucas, really good to have you on the show today. How can people get in touch with you?
So the great thing is that we're very unique, as in Tribu.ai. It's quite simple, but Lucas Meadowcroft, I'm the only one in the world. So search me on any social media channels, add me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever you like. We'll put in the show notes as well, all our links. But yeah, if you want to check out our product or jump on a session, not with myself, but with our CTO, Dean, co-founder, he can do a tech deep dive into all things AI and how that can make your business amazing.
Excellent. Thank you. Thanks for being on the show. Catch you again, folks. Take it easy. Bye.